Good morning again, children and adults. Today we have a family talk, and we're going to be starting our journey towards Easter today. What is the story of Easter about? What is the main story that we look at or remember when we think about Easter? Who's got some ideas? Okay, I can come back to you if you remember. The Lord's resurrection. When the Lord? Oh, sorry, I can't hear. Oh, right. Yes, the Lord was on earth, and the Lord dies. Yeah, what did you? Right, the Lord dies on the cross. There was crucifixion, and then He is raised again on the third day. He raises Himself again on the third day, and that's probably the most important part of the Easter story, that the Lord raises again on the third day. So we are on our journey towards Easter, which will happen in April. A question about the Lord's crucifixion, or the Lord being put to death on the cross. Do you know who were the main people, the main instigators behind wanting to put Him to death? Do you know who was it that was trying to put Him to death? The priests, the leaders of the church. Just want you to think about that for a moment. The leaders of the church wanted to put Jesus to death. Was Jesus God with us? Was Jesus God with us? Yeah. Here we have God with us, and Jesus is loving people, and He's kind to people, and He's healing people. He's doing miracles of all sorts. And the leaders of the church can't recognize that this is God. Their idea of who God was so mixed up that they couldn't see God right in front of them. So the question I want to ask today is, so who were they worshiping? Who were the leaders of the church worshiping if they couldn't recognize God right in front of them? So to help us answer that question of who were the leaders of the church worshiping, we're going to look at three parables. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to look at three parables. And what is a parable? A story inside a story that has a meaning for our life. So we're going to look at three parables that help tell us about what the Lord was trying to get the leaders of the church to see. Right? Wanted them to open up their eyes and see where they were going wrong. So He told three parables. So we're going to look at one of the parables today. So I want to read to you from Matthew 21, and you can follow along in your pew cards. A man had two sons. A man had two sons. Here I've got a picture. Okay. Can you see the two sons in there? One you can see probably clearly, and the other one is a little bit small. Right? Can you see that? Can you see one of the sons here, and the other one here in the blue? Okay. So this is what the story is about. A man had two sons, and he came to the first son, and he said, "Son, go, work today in my vineyard." You know what the son said? No. Would you say no to your parents? Well, sometimes we do. Sometimes we do. Right? This son said, "No, I won't go work in your vineyard." But, you know what happened? Afterwards, he regretted it and went and worked in the vineyard. So we can see this first son in red over here, he's walking away. Right? He said to his father, "No, I'm not going to do it." And he walked on his way. And maybe he had some other things that he wanted to do, and he went and did them. And then he thought to himself, hang on, I've made a mistake. He regretted what he had done, and he turned around and he went back and he worked in the vineyard. Let's read what happens to the second son. Then he came to the second and said likewise. So to him he said also, will you go work in my vineyard? And the son answered and said, I go, sir. So he said, yes, I will go and work in the vineyard. And you know what happened? He didn't go. He said, yes, I will go, but he didn't go. So Jesus is asking the question of the church leaders. He says, which of these two sons did the will of the Father? So which one went and worked in the vineyard? The first son that had said no. He did the will of his Father. And there's an important lesson in what the son did. He said no, but he then regretted what he had done. And that's an important lesson for each one of our lives. We do this too. We sometimes say no too. Let's think of some examples. You are helping cook dinner, or you are helping to bake something in the kitchen, and you've put a tray into the oven. Maybe you're grilling some vegetables, or you're putting in some cupcakes into the oven, and you put on the timer, and your mom or dad says, well, when the timer rings, come call me, and I will help you take it out the oven. The timer rings, and you think to yourself, no, I'm not going to call mom or dad. I'm going to do this myself. Anybody been there? And you tried this, right? And maybe you get the oven mitts and you put them on, or the pads, and you try and you reach into the oven and you touch something. Maybe with the back of your hand or your arm, you touch the oven, and immediately you know, I've made a mistake. Anybody done something like that before? Right? I have, right? Oh dear, I've made a mistake. Or here's another example. Your friends come over and you jump on your bikes, and mom or dad can tell that you're really excited and you're going to go out there for an adventure, and your mom or dad says, be careful when you're going down the hill. Don't take the corner. Stop at the stop street. Don't just ride around the corner. You're going to be going very fast. You get on your bikes with your friends and you go for it down the hill, and you don't stop, and you go around the corner, and maybe your back tire slips out, or maybe you're going too fast around the corner and you can't make it and you off into the ditch, or maybe you go around the corner and there's a car coming. Anybody done something like that? Crashed going too fast around the corner? Right? We've probably all done that. Dads, put up your hands. Okay? Right? We've all done those kind of mistakes where mom and dad told us not to do this, but we said, no, I'm going to do it anyway. And then when we're sitting on the side of the road there, grazes on our legs and on our arms, we think to ourselves, oh, I made a mistake. I should have listened to mom and dad. Right? The Lord would love us to be like that son, or be able to recognize when we've made a mistake. Right? The Lord teaches us things, and then we decide, well, I'm going to go do it my own way. And then we find we hurt ourselves or we hurt others, and then we recognize, oh dear, I've made a mistake. Let me try that again. Let me go back to what the Lord was saying. And that's the first son in the story, right? Where we are able to recognize that we've made a mistake. Anybody here make mistakes? Okay. Right? Anybody we all make mistakes. The Lord is not saying don't make mistakes. The Lord is saying be like this son who makes mistakes, but then remembers, oh, I remember what the Lord said. Let me go back and try doing it the Lord's way. Right? So it's not about not making mistakes. It's about remembering, oh, I've made a mistake, and going back to the Lord. The Lord refers to that as that soft heart, right? A heart that is able to learn, a heart that is able to see that we've done something wrong, that we've made a mistake, that we've hurt ourselves or we've hurt somebody, and to regret what we've done, feel sorry for what we've done, and let me go try that again. That's a soft heart, a heart that the Lord can mold and shape into a heavenly heart. I wonder what kind of heart the other brother had. Do you think the other brother also had a soft heart? No. I like it. You're on. Nope. The other brother didn't have a soft heart. He had a hard heart, or a stubborn heart. A stubborn heart. I want to read to you from the teachings for the new church. You can follow along in your pew cards. It explains this why we can have a hard heart, why we can say yes and then not do anything about it. Say, yes, I will follow you, Lord, but not do anything about it. We read from the book Secrets of Heaven, number 43:14. There were some people, so Manuel Swedenborg's in the spiritual world, and he's able to see people that he's seen here in this world. So he said, there are some people whom I knew during their lifetime, and who during that period were to outward appearances zealous for the Lord. Who knows what zealous means? Any adults, do you know what zealous means? How would you describe being zealous about something? What would you say? Righteous anger. Okay, that's one way of interpreting it. Right? There's an excitement, there's an energy, there's a passion that drives us towards a goal. Right? Being zealous for something. There's a lot of energy behind what we're doing. So, the Lord is saying, or Swedenborg is saying here, they appeared zealous. They had this passion, this outward energy for the Lord, for the church, for their country, for the common good, and for what was right and fair. And yet, listen to this, and yet, in the next life, these same people are among those in hell. Indeed, I have been astonished to find them among the most evil ones there. Wow, that's a very interesting discovery. That we can appear very zealous, very committed, very energized for the Lord, for His church, for His teachings, and yet not have heaven in our hearts. Right? We can be excited about things in our minds and not have a love for them in our hearts. I want to pause here for a moment and talk about a vineyard. The Lord is asking these sons to go work in a vineyard. Where do we find vineyards? Do we find some in Ontario? Yeah, I believe there's some vineyards in Ontario. Does the Lord want us to go work in those vineyards? No. Maybe you want to work in a vineyard one day. But the Lord is talking about another vineyard, a place where the Lord wants us to go and work. And the vineyard the Lord wants us to work on is one in our minds, the Lord's Word, growing the Lord's Word in our minds, and growing the Lord's love in our hearts. And whenever the Lord talks about vineyard, the Lord's Word in our minds, His love in our hearts. That is the work the Lord calls us to. And when we have those two in our minds and our hearts, then we have grapes. We have fruit that come from our lives. And the fruit of the vineyard, of our heavenly vineyard, is care for other people and thoughtfulness towards them. So that's the work that the Lord calls each one of us to. And sometimes we can have the right thoughts in our mind, but our hearts are not in the right place. We can be excited about the truths that the Lord teaches us in His Word, but our hearts are hard like stone. We can have a desire for a good friendship. Anybody want close friends? Right? We all want to have good, close friends, don't we? We want to have close friends. We want to be able to call on them. We want to go have a chat with them. We want to have fun with them, enjoy time with them. We want good friends. We love the idea. Or marriage, right? We can love the idea of marriage and all the beauty and the wonder of heavenly marriage. Right? We can have the ideas, but our hearts are hard. They're unwilling to change. They're unwilling to admit, I've made a mistake. Unwilling to say, oh, I've been unkind to you. I've hurt you. I've hurt me. I regret what I've done. Let me change. Right? If we're unable to do that part, have a soft heart, then we are unable to build healthy relationships when our heart is too hard. So what is it that makes our hearts so hard? What is it that makes our hearts so hard? We carry on reading from Secrets of Heaven. The reason why they were there, these people in hell, the reason why they were there was that interiorly, so inwards in their heart, they had been filthy and profane, and that they had pretended to be zealous for the sake of their reputation, so as to gain important position and also to acquire wealth. Thus, they had been zealous for selfish reasons, and not for the things which they profess with their lips. So when we can say something with our lips, say something that comes from our mind, the Lord wants our hearts to go along with it. When we are loving the Lord, then the things that are coming out of our mouths are full of love and truth too. But we can be zealous, we can have a lot of energy for the truth, and not at the same time for what is loving. And instead, be thinking about ourself instead. Thinking about, well, I have these good ideas, and I'm better than you because I have these right ideas. Right? Because I have so many ideas, I have heaven in me. And that's where the leaders of the church were starting to go wrong in the story. Right? The leaders of the church thought that they had everything, that they had all the truths, that they had so many truths that, of course, they had heaven. And so they were zealous for the truth, but their hearts did not follow. Their hearts were all about self. So we continue reading from our story in Matthew. So Jesus said to the leaders, "Assuredly I say to you that tax collectors and harlots enter the kingdom of God before you. So those who make mistakes can enter the kingdom of heaven before you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But tax collectors and harlots believed him. And when you saw it, you did not afterwards relent and believe him." Right? So the Lord teaches us and guides us, and what he's asking us is to look at ourselves and see, where am I going wrong? I've said yes, or maybe I've heard the Lord speak, and I've said, it's not quite for me yet. And then recognized, I made a mistake. I've hurt myself, or I've hurt others. Perhaps I need to change. So that the Lord is looking in us for a soft heart, one where he can heal, one where he can help reshape our hearts. And so the leaders of the church were unwilling. They were unwilling to see their mistakes. They were unwilling to see their brokenness. They were just standing strong in what they saw was true and not paying any attention to their hearts. So who were they worshiping? They couldn't recognize the Lord. They couldn't recognize the Lord because he was full of love and care and healing and gentleness, kindness. And where they were, it was all about being right and true and harsh and solid, unchanging. And so they were unwilling to go with their heart to that place of being loving and soft and gentle and asking for help. So they were worshiping themselves. And that's a lesson for each one of us. We have these two sons within us. Sometimes we can be like the son who said yes and be excited about the truths and be excited about the church and what the Lord teaches and then do nothing with it. And sometimes we're like the other son who says no, and then afterwards we realize we've made a mistake, we've hurt ourselves, we've hurt others, and then we recognize, I need to return to the Lord and do the work. Do the work of learning his truths, but also do the work of softening my heart, opening it up to the Lord and to others. Let's finish with a recitation that we read this morning. The Lord says, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them. Amen.